So what was the interview process like? What do you recommend to prepare for technical aspect of interviewing? So did either of you have a whiteboarding or design challenge? Don't remember. You did.
At my first job.
Okay. So what was the process like? Like maybe if you all remember, was it like a bunch of rounds? Was it just one round? And then how did you prepare?
For me, I had a recruiter call, a hiring manager call, then the design team met with me just to like see if we vibe. And then there was the design challenge. It was like spend an hour redesigning a feature of a popular app and then present it. And then after that, the recruiter from the company called and started asking me more questions. And then she just offered me the job. So I was kind of thrown by that. But so that was that process.
So the first company that I was hired at, I was, when I was in the final round with them, I was also in the final round with another company. So it was kind of interesting because their rounds were really different. So the company that I ultimately went with was 3 rounds, and the first round was with HR. The second round was with a project manager, and then one of the engineers that was on the team that I was put on. And then the third round was with the chief technical officer, and it was kind of like a roast this, and they just like pulled up a screen from one of their current apps, and then he said, what would you do differently? And I kind of like walked through the process, and then he was like, show me. So it was kind of like a take home challenge kind of a thing, where I just did like one widget gauge kind of a design and submitted that in. The other company that I was also going through with at the time was a recruiter call, a hiring manager call, and then a 4-hour panel with like 8 different people. And it was incredibly draining, and not my favorite way to interview. And it probably reflected that way, because I actually didn't even get offered that one. Went all the way through to the final round, was not offered that job, and went with where I'm at now.
Yeah, interviewing for these jobs is kind of just so crazy these days. We're seeing, even now, because that was like about a year and a half ago, even now we're seeing like 4, 5, 6 rounds of interviews. And for everyone listening, if you're not part of CJ, we walk you through like each type of interview. Like we explain what they are. We provide mock interviews for every type of interview. We'll help you with design challenges. Like you'll be prepared if you're going through our program. But we're seeing like these, those crazy like panels that are like 4 or 5 hours, or like a day-long interview where you're like doing back to back short interviews. But there's essentially like 4 types of interviews. You have like your behavioral question that it's like, tell me about a time type. You have your portfolio walkthrough where you're walking through your actual work. There's a design challenge where it's like a take-home design challenge. And then there's a whiteboard where you're like live, doing stuff. And at any point, those can be called anything they want to call them. They won't be called by those names, and they can all kind of be mixed as well. So it really varies. Even for the same company, sometimes you'll see different processes for different roles. But you'll be prepared. You won't feel prepared, but you'll be prepared.
When I went through, I remember you helped me with my design challenge. You sat down with me. Like,
was it Pinterest? Like, did we grab?
I think it was Poshmark.
Poshmark. Okay, yeah. I was like, I know, started with a P. Yeah, we. And now you said gauges, and I was like, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, so now we definitely have a lot more staff to help with design challenges and all that. But we'll help you all. It's kind of a hard and daunting process to go through alone. And I think another thing that you all did is like, you were friends, I think, already at the time. So you were like leaning on each other through that process to like talk through things. Did we have the daily call back then that we were? We did. Okay.
I think it had started.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So we have this daily call that's about 30 minutes. And now a different person hosts it each day. I used to host it every day. And folks join and kind of like share their wins, share kind of the struggles, and cheer each other on, which I think is good to see other people kind of going through the process with you.